Mr. Vogel, you currently owe $43,000 in child support for the defendant's son, who you say is not yours, and you claim to know who his father is.
That's right.
Once today's results prove that you are not his biological father, you say you will return to your home state to get this enormous debt erased.
Yes.
Ms. Vogel, you say the plaintiff is motivated by money and have always believed he is your son, William's father.
Yes,
After
Your Honor.
30 years, you are finally ready to prove the truth today. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Your Honor. Yes, Your
So,
Honor.
Mr. Vogel, who do you believe his father is?
My brother, David.
Oh,
She had sex with my brother in my car in a parking lot in Janesville, Wisconsin.
okay, wait a minute. Just take me back.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but there was no sex in the car. It was under a bridge. My son is a bridge baby. I don't know where he got that, but...
But you're admitting that you were intimate with his brother.
Yes, ma'am.
Just not in the car,
Yes, ma'am,
under
I
a
was.
bridge.
Yes, Your Honor, I was.
Let's get it right. So, what was the nature of your relationship with Mr. Vogel?
It was real rocky.
Okay.
Real rocky.
But you were married,
Yes, I was.
okay, to Mr. Vogel.
Yes.
William was born during your marriage,
Yes, Your Honor.
so you would be presumed to be the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So during the time in which Ms. Vogel is pregnant, do you believe William is your child during that time? Do you know about this sex with your brother?
I had a thought that it was somebody in my family, and I figured it was probably my brother. You start to think, and things are going wrong in the relationship, and my brother is doing certain things, and it's like, wait a minute, you two must be getting together or something. And that's when everything started clicking in my head, and I started putting dates together. He was born on November 17th. She had divorced me already, and I went down to Kentucky to talk to her for a little while. I stayed with her for like 3 or 4 days, and she told me the story of the car, and February 19th, I guess, just to get me mad and get me going, and that she had sex with my brother.
After 3 years, we got married.
Oh, so then you married his brother.
Yeah, 3 years after I divorced him.
How do you get to a point where you're going to sleep with your husband's brother?
Well, the bridge thing, he treated me better. He was good to me. And he just was that smooth that he just talked me right out of my britches. Literally. And
Can I interject for a moment? You'd have to actually get a better understanding of his brother, David. This man, he's got a sly tongue. He's got a snake's tongue. He could pretty much talk anybody into generally anything. So I wouldn't doubt what my mother is saying.
What are you thinking?
I haven't had a secure thought in years. About 2 years ago, my mom pretty much, she came to me and she told me there's a possibility that David could be my father. And what she basically told me was that she had had sex with him under a bridge. Now, that's my understanding of it. It hasn't changed over the last 2 years.
Okay, who did you grow up believing was your biological father?
Well, I had grown to the age of 5, and my understanding that David was my father, and then all of a sudden my mother had kind of come to me when I was 5 and gave me a better understanding that my Uncle Daniel might have been my father. And then she basically told me that he was my father, so I had a lot of head trips at that point in time. Didn't really understand at that point.
I'm head tripping right now. But Mr. Vogel, Daniel here is the one paying child support for you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, right.
it's all about the money anyway.
It's not about the money, it's about the children. I have this right here, which is proof that $43,000.
Let me see that evidence, please, Jerome. This is proof
And I've
of the
paid-
amount of support you've been paying.
I've been paying in 2 states since 1990. They're taking my federal tax down in Kentucky. The state of Wisconsin's taking my state tax. I have no money. My 3 children, my wife raised with me in the house because I had no money. I couldn't give them Christmas presents. I couldn't give them birthday presents. I couldn't do nothing for my own children. And these are my children. These are pronounced to not be my children. It's not here
So
anyway.
over $43,000 owed
Yes.
on children you don't know are really your biological children.
Right,
William,
Your
you don't know. And truthfully, William grew up, he didn't even think at first you were his biological father.
Right, Your
But you
Honor.
were paying support even all that time.
Yes, Your Honor.
The legal lesson in this is that the court is going to consider the best interest of the child.
Right.
If the child was born during the marriage, you're presumed to be the father.
Yes, I know, Your Honor.
And most states give a window of time
Yeah.
to refute that, to bring proof.
Well, Your Honor,
I've
I've
tried
even
for
went
all these
in
years to refute
and
it, and
expunged.
And I was just about to say, and some courts don't choose to acknowledge
They
or
don't
move
acknowledge
forward
nothing when you're
if
married.
they believe it's in the best interest of the child.
I have,
And now I have a young man standing in my courtroom, quite frankly, that says he hasn't had a secure thought in years.
No, he hasn't.
Because he doesn't have a firm foundation.
No, he
because
doesn't.
he doesn't know who his father is. It's like changing by the decade.
Yeah.
One decade he has one father.
Next
The next
is another.
decade, that father is his uncle, and then the uncle is the father. The next decade, then that uncle becomes his father, and the father becomes an uncle. This is too much. If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So once, William, you got word that potentially Mr. Vogel, Daniel, could be your biological father, how did the dynamic change then?
Well, at that point in time, I wanted to get to know my father. I wanted to get to know the man standing here before us. I actually took a little bit of time and actually had the opportunity to go and spend a little bit of time with him. He's a wonderful man. I didn't really get much time beyond that. Off and on throughout the years, I've had times here and there just kind of juggled between my mother and my supposed biological
I
father.
never got to see my kid.
And he got to see me once in a while. It wasn't very often. Majority of the time living with David, I had actually been moved around from state to state. We really didn't stay in one place for a very long period of time. So my understanding of it was David was my father because he was the one raising me. But Daniel was my biological father, and
So you're in a situation where your uncle could be your father, but your father could be your uncle.
yes, Your Honor.
Either way, your uncle is. Either way.
Either way, my uncle is my father.
Either way.
And I come from the state of Kentucky, so that sounds kind of weird, kind of offbeat. So I mean,
Really, William?
Mr. Vogel, sometimes you just have to laugh to keep from crying, people, okay?
I understand.
Sometimes you just have to laugh. Mr. Vogel, have you ever tried to figure out a timeline to piece this together?
I
Because the
have.
truth is, if she was still married to you when William was conceived, then that's why we're here, is because
I've got a
potentially you could be his biological father as well as your brother.
And I have beat myself up for many years trying to figure out the difference between this, the timeline, and everything else.
Okay,
I've worked on
let's
this
walk
timeline.
through
I've
this.
walked through the dates. I've done everything for
Walk
years.
through the dates with me. Walk through the dates with me.
She told me February 19th of 84. That was the story back then.
February 19th of 84 was what?
Was when her and my brother had sexual relations.
So February 19th.
wow,
Wow. Okay, so that's
that opened that can.
brother. Did you really have sex with his brother on his birthday, Ms. Vogel?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Whoa. When was William born?
November 17th.
17th.
So that's William born.
Well, Your Honor, what really made the difference is I was gone and I came home on the 27th of February when we were set to move down to Kentucky. We moved there on the 1st of March, and Donna was having her menstrual period, of which she did every time she had, well, which she did when she had my oldest son.
The bottom line is you're saying you were not intimate with her
Not until about the 7th of March,
until about the 7th of March.
when we got down to Kentucky.
So that's husband and wife time. What was going on around February 19th? You were gone?
I was gone, yes.
Oh, yeah, he was gone.
So the affair with the brother started when he was away.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So that February 19th is the bridge.
Well, Your Honor,
We'll just put a bridge. William, I understand your confusion, honey. This is a lot.
And the main purpose and reason why I'm here is for my children. I've got a 4-year-old, 2 3-year-olds, 18-month-old. I mean, what am I going to tell them?
I just need this taken care of. I
Well-
still have a warrant out for my arrest in Wisconsin. I could go to jail. I've been to jail for contempt of court twice, equaling 8 months, which is way over the limit of what I owe right now, even right there. At $50 a day, paying $120
And all
a
of
week.
this for failure to pay child support. All of this.
I clearly look like that man. I mean, I've got his body structure. I've
So,
got his
William,
attitude.
you
I've got-
believe you look like David Vogel, the brother.
Yes, Your Honor. I've done a lot of research over the years, and I've actually come to a point where I have understood a little bit more about genetics than what I really want to kind of delve into. But to my understanding, it doesn't matter whether or not it is David or Daniel. I could look like either one of them. I could look like my grandfather. I could look like my aunt. I mean,
We see that a
in
lot.
Genetics, I mean, I do look a lot like my mom, but I look more like David than anybody. So, I mean, that's where my questions lie. I
Mom,
wanna
Ms.
know.
Vogel, as you stand here in court today, has any of this testimony affected your belief? Because you've told him back and forth. Is it just because you've just always been confused?
Yes, Your Honor, it is. Because I just don't know.
Well, that's why we're here.
Daniel.
I thank you for that. That's okay. That's all forgiven, Donna. It's forgiven. Has been, you know that.
Now, that's the kind of stuff I'd like to see under the bridge, Rome. That's what I want to see under the bridge. Thank you for that, Mr. Vogel. Because I don't think we can undervalue the power of just forgiveness. You know, it would have been easy, Ms. Vogel, to sit in this courtroom and sit in this seat and how could you and how this and how that. But I read the facts. And most importantly, I can see the sincerity of your regret.
I can see it too.
The sincerity of it.
Yes, she's very sincere about it.
Because what she got to see, and I often talk about this to young women in this courtroom, when you seek counsel under the covers, when you run and jump into bed with somebody else, people believe the quickest way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else, and that just isn't true. And when it happens, you create situations you don't intend that have consequences that you would never intend, and she sees the way it has affected her son. And the
With all my
confusion,
heart.
I can see that. And hurting him and having him experience that level of doubt and not have a firm foundation to stand on or a secure thought, as he put it, that is enough to make you understand your consequences and how they've affected others. So with that said, thank goodness this courtroom exists because we have the answers for you today.
Yes, thank you.
I'm ready for the results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. This has been very emotional. Ms. Vogel, you have been very emotional. Is there anything you'd like to say to your son, William?
I'm just sorry that it happened this way. I didn't know what else to tell him.
William, when you see your mother expressing this kind of regret, you've been through a lot. Is there something you'd like to say to your mom?
I'm going to love you either way it goes. You're my mom.
Here we go. In the case of Vogel versus Vogel, to determine whether Daniel Vogel or his brother David Vogel is the father of 31-year-old William Vogel. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Daniel Vogel, you are his father.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Finally, back.
Mr. Vogel,
Yeah.
you look shocked.
I'm more than shocked.
I saw it.
I have paid all my life for somebody I didn't know whether it was mine or not. Now I know I needed to pay, so that's water under the bridge. I know that he is mine. I'm glad I paid for him. I'm happy that he's mine.
Ms. Foster, you say getting pregnant at the age of 17 pushed you into adulthood sooner than you expected. You claim Mr. Durden is denying your 15-month-old son, Ian Durden Jr. You are asking the court to order a paternity test so you can prove he is the father because you're struggling financially to make it on your own.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Durden, you say the court should not order a DNA test because you are 100% sure that you are not Ian Jr.'s father and you have proof. So, Ms. Foster, has Mr. Durden contributed anything at all for the baby?
No, Your Honor, he has not. I'm a single parent. Maybe once a pair of shoes when he was a little baby, but other than that, I pay for all the expenses, shoes, clothes, car seat, outings, anything you can think of, pretty much done by myself.
And so, Mr. Durden, you haven't helped at all?
No, I haven't. And the simple fact because I haven't helped because I don't want to get too attached to a baby that's not mine.
He has your name.
Yeah, Your Honor, I agree with that. And the reason because he has my name is because I was kind of like pushed to sign the birth certificate.
No, that is not true. We used to talk all the time about, if we have children, like I want my son to have my name.
I want to have my son to have my name.
Your Honor, he is definitely the father of this child, no doubt.
And you say you're struggling to make ends meet, and that's why you're asking this court to order a paternity test, and you also need help.
Yes. Like, my days are long. I call for the babysitter comes, I get ready for work, wait for the bus to come, get on the bus, go to work, come home, late nights, he sleep most of the time, so I don't even get to spend time with him when I get home. It's sickening to even sit here and have to go through this. He's not someone I just had a one-night stand with. We were in a relationship.
You submitted to the court your financial statements that outline how much money it's costing you
Yes, I
to
do.
raise Ian pretty much by yourself.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
You say your expenses, just for you, $750. That's food, getting back and forth to work, etc. For the baby, you're spending about $1,535 a month in diapers, clothes, food, etc. for the baby.
Right, yes, Your Honor.
So that totals $2,285,
Yes,
which
Your Honor,
leaves
it
you in the negative every month. $637.
Yes.
So you're going under, and you're going under fast.
Very. And it's just like I wouldn't even have to be in the negatives if I had a sister.
So you also submitted to the court that if Mr. Durden contributed financially monthly, just pretty much $750 for you, $767.50, which would be his contribution, you would have about $130 left over.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Durden, I mean, the numbers don't lie. Without your contribution, this young woman she's sinking financially, trying to take care of this child.
I understand that she is.
And you admit you have not participated financially to this point.
Yes, and the reason because every time we had sex, I used condoms.
And that is not true. And I
That
have
is-
proof
that
of
is
that
actually
not
true.
being true.
And that's why you're saying, Mr. Durden, the court should not order a paternity test. There's no need because you say you used a condom every single time.
Exactly, because I spent my money on condoms.
So, yeah, clearly on condoms, but not on the baby. That's
That baby has
named
nothing to
after
do with
you.
me. It's not my baby. She didn't even let me know she went to the doctor.
That does not matter. I wanted to make sure that I was pregnant before I bring it to him. Nobody wants to just like, okay, I'm pregnant.
And even if
then
that
it's
is
not
the
even
case-
sure. If it's not the case, we did use condoms sometimes. Not all the time, not
All the
100%
time.
of the time. No, that's not true. Me and Ian broke up. After that, he wanted to talk. He called me to a restaurant. We sat down and we talked for him. He just kept eyeing my phone. So when he was on my phone, he took it, he ran in the bathroom with it, read some text messages that were between me and a guy that
Saw a picture.
we were talking on social media. You know, we were on a break. Me and Ian were not together. He was someone who was comforting me at the time. It was not anything. We never had sex or anything like that.
Mr. Durden, what did you see on the phone?
I just saw messages with her, and when I saw that, I saw a picture too, actually. She took a selfie with a guy in a car, and it was the guy who took her to the doctor for the sonogram of the baby.
Okay.
Oh, so, wait, there was another guy at your sonogram?
He was there when he was not.
But if that's my child, you would be willing to let me know things before you take action.
He wanted nothing to do with me. Like, he ignored me. When I was pregnant the entire time, I barely spoke to him. So it's just like somebody was there when you were not. I wasn't having sex with him. He wasn't my boyfriend. He was just there when you weren't.
That's
and
still
that
not an
night,
excuse.
that same night that he took my phone and ran with it, you know, I finally got him to come to the house so I can just sit down and talk to him. He didn't want to talk. Ian wanted to have sex, so we did. And it was without a condom. And I believe that's the night that my son was conceived.
So this is what you believe is the conception night when you all had
Yes, Your Honor.
the makeup sex, pretty much.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you did not use protection?
No.
Do you remember that night, Mr. Durden?
Not quite. I do not remember the night, but I do remember buying condoms because I'm spending.
Well, you didn't use.
I'm spending my money on
Right, it's
condoms.
one thing to buy them, it's another thing to actually use them. Mr. Durden, you said you signed the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
The child's named after you. Why did you sign
And
the
it
birth
was a
certificate?
problem with the child being named after me. She didn't want the child to be named after me.
So you lobbied for that?
It took her mother and I think one of her friends to tell her it's the right thing to do if the baby's his.
But I'm confused. You say this child is not yours and you have proof, so I don't even have to order a paternity
When we was in the hospital room, I didn't really want to embarrass her in front of her mom and her sisters and stuff.
But nobody forced you to sign anything. He didn't have to sign a birth certificate. He claimed
She
the
was
child
crying.
He claimed the child was not his. Tears or no tears. It's just like nobody forced you to do anything. You signed it because you wanted to.
The reason I come to the hospital because I wanted to try to be a man.
You left as a little boy.
I didn't want to get too attached to this child because in my head, this child is not mine. I know for a fact this child is not mine. Condoms are 98% sure.
Well, we're at the 2% because,
I mean, let's be honest. They're not 100% effective. And my trouble with your argument here today is that you say on the one hand, there's no way in the world you could be this child's father. On the other hand, you're saying your mother and everybody convinced her to name the child after you. And you signed the birth certificate. I'm trying to give you the opportunity to prove to me why it is absolutely unnecessary for me to order a test, but the more you testify, the more obvious it is to me that a test is needed. Now, you say you're 100% sure. Besides the condoms and the fact that you buy them and you buy them and you buy them, I get that. What else? How is it you know for certain this is not your child?
Because, Your Honor, the reason I know this is not my child is because I remember one time at school, we didn't go to the same school. So it's kind of hard to trust somebody that's not you. I don't even see her every day. So I had a phone call, one afternoon when we got out of school, I had a phone call from a friend. He was telling me that he saw Ivy with someone else.
I have friends, like, people see me with
Nah,
people all the time.
it wasn't that type of friend at all. It wasn't that type of friend. It was the type of friend you flirt with. It was the type of friend that, oh, your boyfriend is not around, so let me do this.
I never flirted with anybody, never had sex with anybody else. Ian is the one and only person that I've ever had sex with.
That's a lie.
So it's just like, how can you prove that? How can you prove that? I have never had sex with anybody else. It was my first and my last. Sitting here fighting who's the baby's fault, there is no other person that could be. The child looks just like him.
That child don't look like me.
Well, I have a picture of Ian Sr. when he was a baby.
I'd like to see this evidence, please. You submitted pictures to the court. One is Ian Jr., and the other is Mr. Durden as a child.
The exact same eyes, exact same complexion. If you were to remove the names, you would not know who was who.
Mr. Durden, do you see a resemblance?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I have evidence right here that's saying the safety of protection of condoms.
You are doing a condom ad today in this courtroom.
Because
And listen, I applaud you for wearing them and practicing safe sex, I do. But there is that 2%.
not in
You brought a witness, I'd like to hear from her. Ms. Jones, what do you know about this situation?
Well, this is my brother, Mr. Durden, and he's like my best friend. And one day we had a talk about Miss Foster and the baby, and he stated that she's pregnant. Like, I didn't even know they was having intercourse because they so young, they kids. So he also said that she cheated on him with her best friend, and her best friend looked exactly like my brother.
Really?
They can go for twins.
It was the boy she took a selfie with who took her to the doctor and she didn't let me know nothing about.
That's why I have my doubts too, because if they use condoms and she cheated on him around the time she conceived the baby, so it's a possibility that he can be the father also, because
Right.
they look exactly alike.
That's what's going on in your mind.
And then it's crazy because his family was at work when they made sure my brother came down there to the hospital to sign a birth certificate. Basically, they forced him to sign a birth certificate when she
had no
she
force.
know that he is not the father of that baby. Because
He is
she
a
had sex
grown
with
man.
another-
At the time, Ian was 18 when he signed the birth certificate. Nobody can force anyone
But-
to sign any legal documents if they do not want to.
But at the same
He had
time,
a choice.
That's what
He
happens when
made the
kids
choice.
Having kids, they go through things like this.
Let's get down to the bottom line. The stakes are really high here because if this court does not order a paternity test, Mr. Durden's on the birth certificate. You understand this. You're standing here today saying, we don't need to have a test, that's not my child, but you are that child's legal father because you signed your name on the birth certificate. So, by not wanting a paternity test, you're basically saying, this is not my child, but I agree to be financially responsible for him for the rest of his life till he's 18 years old.
When I first got to the hospital, I went there by myself. I talked to my mom. My mom was like, you need to do the right thing. So when I went to the hospital by myself, I saw that she was with her mother and her sister. And when I got there, I first held the baby as the picture you saw before. And when I held the baby, I thought to myself, this baby cannot be mine. It was kind of hard. I wasn't ready to be a father at all. I felt like I was holding a friend's child. And her family stepped out and the doctor came back in with the birth certificate. And I was sitting there with Ivy. I was like, should I put my name on this? And she was like, why not? She was even tearing up at the time.
Then you make the decision, I'm gonna sign the birth certificate.
And the reason why I made the decision, I signed the birth certificate because I didn't really want to embarrass her in front of her family.
It's embarrassment. You coming
it's
up
like
here.
a move needed to be made. So I said, what the heck, man? Like, just,
And you
just
had
put the ink on there.
Well, you understand that that's not getting it over with. That's getting it started. You're 19. You're 19 years old, but you have to understand, signing a birth certificate isn't some arbitrary execution of. You are saying, I am the legal father of this child. I'm taking responsibility for this child. I am acknowledging that this is my child and I will take care of this child.
I
Do you know
understand
you
that.
were saying that?
At the time, I did not understand that.
Well, you still don't understand it if you're in here saying that you don't want a paternity test. You need to be saying, please. At the end of the day, this court's decision is going to be as to what's in the best interest of this child. And in light of the testimony I've heard thus far, it is obvious to me that it is necessary and imperative to order a paternity test. I want you two to leave here, submit to the testing immediately, and we will return to this courtroom for the results. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court is adjourned. We're back in session in the case of Foster versus Durden. In our last session, you were ordered to submit to paternity testing, which you have, and we have the results here today. Before we go to the results, though, have you all had time to think about your positions, are you still believing, Ms. Foster, that unequivocally Mr. Durden is the biological father of your son?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how about you, Mr. Durden? You first said that there was absolutely no way. No way.
I still feel like that, Your Honor. 100% this is not my baby.
Jerome, let's go to the results.
Okay.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Foster versus Durden, when it comes to 15-month-old Ian Durden Jr., it has been determined by this court, Mr. Durden, you are the father.
Can I say
Sir,
something, please?
what would you like to say, ma'am?
I don't think that I'm going to be able to get over the hurt. I'm overjoyed, that he knows now, that it's true. You are the father, but it's just like, what are you going to do differently?
Well, that's a good question, Ms. Foster. Mr. Muhammad, you are here to prove that you are the father of the defendant's 2-year-old daughter, Brooklyn. You claim the only reason she is denying paternity is because she wants to be in a relationship with the other man. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Walton, you say you were secretly cheating on Mr. Muhammad and had sex with the other man almost every day of the month, and there is no way Mr. Muhammad is Brooklyn's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Muhammad, you are convinced you are Brooklyn's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
First of all, I would never let another man raise my child. I was always raised to do the right thing, always raised to be a stand-up gentleman. I know, take care of all my children. You can look at Brooklyn now, see my face features, everything. I'm here today to prove today that I am the father.
And you say it's not his baby, Ms. Walton.
Yes, ma'am. I say that because during my conception date, I was having more sexual intercourse with the other guy than Mr. Muhammad.
And you were having sex with this other guy behind his back. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So what was the nature of your relationship with Mr. Muhammad around the time Brooklyn was conceived?
Okay, the nature of our relationship was Anwar was already having an affair with another woman before he had moved in with me. And during that time, while he was having his affair, I was having my affair also.
Oh, so you all were together but both having affairs?
Yes.
No.
Well, basically, I wouldn't say we were together.
No.
I
wasn't having no affair. We was together. She told me that this gentleman was her cousin. I didn't think nothing of it.
She told you the other guy was her cousin?
Was her cousin. Her cousin.
That's not true, Your Honor. He's
I
always
know-
known this guy.
I know.
Who was.
That's the other man that she wanted to be with.
So you're saying you were in a relationship?
In a relationship.
And you're saying you were not in a relationship when Brooklyn was conceived?
No, we was not in a relationship. We were just living together.
Wow.
And you have an older child together, am I correct?
Yes, 4 years old.
So how did you manage to
Wow.
sneak around with the other guy behind Mr. Muhammad's back?
Well, what happens is we was sneaking off to the hotel and having our, relations there.
And where were you supposed to be? Where did you
Work.
tell Mr. Muhammad you were?
Work.
I told him I was at work.
All right.
She ain't at work. She ain't at work.
I did work because during my pregnancy I was working 2 jobs, so Mr. Muhammad
She's
wouldn't even help me
cheating.
with anything.
She's cheating, Your Honor. Why should she think she at work? She's cheating.
Were you still intimate with Mr. Muhammad during that time as
Yes, I
well?
was.
All right.
Wow.
So you were sleeping with them both.
She was
Yes,
both.
ma'am.
Take me to the moment you find out you're pregnant.
The moment I found out I was pregnant, I text the guy and I tell him I missed my period. Mr. Muhammad, during that time, who was living with me, got my phone, looked at the text message, and confronted me.
Ain't wrong. That's wrong, Your Honor. What happened was I came home, she sleep, I looked at her phone, I started seeing a full-fledged text message about having sex, all that stuff. Y'all having a full relationship behind my back.
So you had,
I had
idea.
I had no idea about this man. Like I said, she told me in the beginning that was a cousin. I ain't thinking of it. I'm thinking it's a family member.
So can you tell me how you found out about the man at all? Just start from the beginning.
You stop having sex with me. Yana, I know when you start having sex with me, it's a problem there. I know that. So she started to act funny, started to be rebellious, and started to do funny things. So that drove red flags to me. I grabbed the phone, I started looking at the text message, I see the conversation between her and the gentleman.
Okay.
I confront her about it.
What did the conversation say?
Basically saying that we having sex, period. Sending pictures back and forth with each other, they sending body part pictures, all that stuff.
Okay, so then how did you find out she's cheating? How do you find out she's pregnant?
Your Honor, he found out through my cell phone. He's the type to like to go through your cell phone. He even took my cell phone for 2 months.
2 months?
Yes, ma'am, and I'm paying the bill.
I never took a cell. Only
Yes,
time
ma'am.
only
Yes,
Yana,
ma'am. He took
only
my
time
cell
I
phone,
took, Yana.
and he took my cell phone and he looked at the text message, which I texted the guy and told him. He confronted me and asked me, why are you texting this guy? And I told him, I said, well, it's a possibility I could be pregnant.
I thought that was your cousin.
No, that's not my cousin. I've always told you that wasn't my cousin. But he had took the cell phone and he had confronted me about the text message and he had asked me, well, whose child is it? And I told him, I said, it's his child. It's not yours.
You find out she's pregnant. What's your recollection of that moment?
My recollection of it is that I'm thinking that the baby's mom. We already had one child together. Like I said, we was in a relationship, and I'm thinking I'm the only one that she sees. I did not, like I said, I did not know nothing about the gentleman. And if we look at Brooklyn and look at me, we look alike, similar alike. Everything is alike.
I feel she got more of my features, Your Honor.
Everything alike. She's smart like me. One time, I seen Brooklyn pour cereal at 1 year old, pour cereal and milk. What child do you know that does that one? That's my genes. That's my.
Did you pour cereal and milk when
yes,
you were
I did.
one?
When I was young, I used to always get this. I'm very smart.
Unfortunately, smarts, they don't make babies. If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. We want to know about the window of conception.
I know the date. The date was February 21st in my mama's house, in the bathroom. We was in the mood. She was in the mood. She go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom after. That's the date that we have Brooklyn.
Do you remember this date, Ms.
On
Walton?
the sink.
Your Honor,
know.
I remember us having sex at my house, not his mother's house.
So, Mr. Muhammad, is it your testimony that you conceived your daughter, Brooklyn, in your mother's bathroom on the sink?
Yes, ma'am.
So when do you think you conceived?
I conceived February the 4th. No, the
Wow.
5th. That's the day after our oldest daughter's first birthday.
But if you conceived that night, wouldn't that make Mr. Muhammad
The father.
Brooklyn's biological
But I was
father?
having sex with him and the other guy
Look at Brooklyn.
that whole
looks
week.
like me. Brooklyn looks like me. Look at her. That's my baby. That's my baby. That's my baby. I know
don't
that.
think
That's
she's
my
his.
baby
I
right
think she's the other guy.
there. You got to be crazy.
So did you ever ask your doctor about the conception date, Miss Walton?
Yes.
What did the doctor say?
I took a pregnancy test a few days after we had, a week after we had sex. The test came out positive. I waited a whole month to go to the doctor. And the doctor told me that I was 8 weeks then. So he went back to February 5th.
I didn't even see.
So when the doctor told you
Four.
when you were pregnant,
Yes.
you were 8 weeks.
Yes.
And then that took you back to the window of time right around February 5th.
Yes.
Which is when you were having sex.
With both of them.
Or
Yes.
with both of them.
Yes. But
And
I was
you-
having more sex with the other guy than Mr. Muhammad.
She want this baby to be his. That baby, look, like I said, I know the baby. I know. When the first time I held Brooklyn, I didn't get to see Brooklyn until she was 6 months old. First time I held Brooklyn, I already know that she's mine. I can just tell if the kid's mine or not. It's certain characteristics that's mine.
That's the day she was born.
I didn't even get to see that. I didn't get to see none of that.
And did you tell this other guy I'm pregnant?
Yes, I told the other guy I was pregnant.
Never told me nothing.
But you didn't tell Mr. Muhammad?
No.
I told Mr. Muhammad after
She's
I
lying.
confirmed it with the doctor.
She didn't tell me nothing. She's lying. She said that she never told me anything.
When did you find out she was pregnant?
I found out through my family.
Miss Walton admits that she was having sex with both men, you and the other man. You weren't using protection with the other man?
No.
You weren't using
nasty.
protection, Mr. Muhammad?
No.
Trifling.
You were having sex around the window of conception with both men?
Yes.
Crazy.
This is 50-50 no matter how we slice it.
Right.
Did you tell the other man I'm pregnant and this could be your baby?
Yes, I told him.
What was his response?
His response was he wanted a paternity test once the baby was born. But he ended up leaving.
A paternity test,
Yeah.
not a fraternity test.
Yeah,
Your Honor.
paternity test.
No,
Paternity, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Your Honor. My oldest daughter, Brooklyn looks like my oldest daughter. If you look at them two girls right there, that's alike. That's my first daughter right there. She 4.
They are adorable.
Oh, adorable. Those are my babies. Those are my babies right there. Look at me and look at them. Those are my babies right there.
Yeah, they may
I
be
know
your
that.
babies, but I'm taking care of them.
Oh, I take care of them too.
No,
I
you
take
do
care
not.
of them too. I ask you all the time.
Listen. I'm trying to understand the logic. Like, as I listen to your testimony, Ms. Walton, honestly, I keep saying to myself, well, what reason does she have to make up this lie? Like, you've got one baby with the man, so you're stuck with him. And if you had another one with him, you all would just be co-parenting and figuring that out. What benefit is it to you to say the other man is your child's biological father unless you really believe that?
Your Honor, she gave
Honestly,
Brooklyn
I
my
believe
last...
it in my heart that he is the biological father
Your
of the
Honor,
man.
she gave
and plus,
Brooklyn-
the other man, he will be more financially helpful. He'll be more of a father to her.
Your Honor, Brooklyn
He
got
will
my
be,
last
he
name.
will be the man that will stand up to take care of his child.
Oh, you've decided that this other man is going to take care of Brooklyn
She's
better
trying
than
to-
Mr. Muhammad.
Yes.
Never
ma'am.
that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. I'm a
So
father.
do you want to be with this other man too?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now it makes sense.
Now, that's what she wants. She's trying to make that baby belong to this man. That I don't even know this man.
Have you started that relationship?
No.
Ain't gonna work.
No.
Ain't gonna
Well,
work.
why?
He's married for number one.
Your Honor.
Married for number one.
Your Honor. See what I'm saying? Your Honor. Brooklyn got my last
sitting
name.
up here trying to figure out what's
She all
holding
over the
them
place,
back.
huh?
What's holding them back?
She
a
all-
whole wife.
Oh, why ain't holding them back? You bugging. She gave Brooklyn my last name.
You gave Brooklyn.
I gave Brooklyn his last name
'Cause
to
it's
keep
my
her
baby.
from being embarrassed later on in life.
It's my baby, period.
You wanted your daughters to have
Same last name.
name, because you definitely couldn't give her the other man's last name.
Nah, you can't do that. That's what you give messing with marriage.
So then your only option was to give her just your last name, so you didn't want her to get teased.
Right.
But you think she gave Brooklyn your last name because she's really just trying to be mean, but she knows Brooklyn's your child.
Exactly. She know that.
So you really want this other man to be the father too, because
Badly.
you say that's who you want to be with. The only problem is that he's married.
Yeah.
But if
She
you
said
end up
that.
with this baby by him, that might change.
Yes.
Ho-ho!
That ain't gonna change. Hey, yeah.
It took me a minute,
Nah.
but I arrived.
Nah. She don't know what she's talking about. Like I said, she do not know what she's talking about. Look at that baby. Look at her.
She looks
That's my
more like
my
me.
baby. That's
I
my
do
baby.
not
So,
see his
Miss
features.
Walton, I need to ask you, because you come to court to tell the truth and
Yes.
to get the truth.
Yes.
Is it that you don't believe Mr. Muhammad is Brooklyn's biological child? Or is it that you so desperately want to be with the married man that you want this child as another level of attachment to him? Or you want it to be the straw that breaks the camel's back in his marriage?
No, I'm not a fan of breaking up happy homes.
She broke up my happy. You broke up my happy home. She broke. Well,
I'm
honest,
not
she
a
broke
fan
up
of
my
breaking up
happy home.
homes.
She
but
broke my happy home.
I also believe
Sorry.
Mr. Muhammad is
I'm
not
done.
my child's father.
Did you just say she broke up your happy
She broke
home?
up my happy home.
I did not
I'm
break up
married.
his happy home.
I'm done.
She broke up
Listen,
mine.
I did not break up his happy home. But I just feel that he's not the father.
We got to get it together, people. We got to get it together. This is messy. I see what exactly is going on now. If these assertions that Ms. Walton has made is true, with the fact that during the window of conception, she was actively sleeping with both men without protection, you all can talk all you want to talk. But really, the paternity question, it's just up in the air. I've heard enough. Jerome, let me get the envelope.
I'm glad. Let me get my gun. Let me get my gun. Thank you. Let me get it.
The These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Muhammad versus Walton, when it comes to 2-year-old Brooklyn Muhammad, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Muhammad, you are the father.
Yes. I told you. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about, baby. I know what I'm talking about. 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 You hear me? I know what I'm talking about.
Right now, you have 2 children together. Let's stop making this a fight. Do you understand?
Yes.
I feel like everything between you 2 is a fight.
Your Honor, if she can pay...
Mr. Muhammad, you got to learn when to be quiet. I mean, really.
All right.
You say you're smart. The qualities of very intelligent people is that they learn that listening is actually more important than talking.
Yes, ma'am.
The truth is that doesn't make people want to work with you. And when you're co-parenting, you have to create a scenario where someone wants to work with you.
Understand.